So yeah, hi, good evening to all, and we are again uh, welcome all of you. We are again here with another exciting knowledge sharing session on our portal, that is indianvedyas.com. Myself, Dr. Piyush Juneja, founder of indianvedyas.com. We welcome you all, and we have two, I will say, young, very motivational, uh, relevant new domain which they have started. And so we are very much privileged, pleased, and happy to announce today. I think this is the first webinar we are doing with Boheco team. So Bombay Hemp Company Boheco is one of the pioneer as far as medical cannabis industry is concerned in India. And we have two directors, co-founders from Boheco, Jahan and Yash. Mr. Jahan Peston Jamas and Mr. Yash Kotak. So thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today. This lovely Monday evening, perfect way to start our week today. And when the entire world is suffering from so many aspects, so many health issues, this pandemic. In fact, I was reading one research, I think day before yesterday. There are some exciting results coming out from CBD oil as far as COVID related inflammations and certain other issues are concerned. We'll be sharing detailed research on our platform also with all your doctors and other people. And we will maybe, if both of them have some idea, they can share on this webinar today as well. So I officially welcome both of you. And let me just clarify and brief all the audience today who are listening to us. At indianvedyas.com, we have decided to take medical cannabis at a very serious level. This is an upcoming domain, I will say, as compared to India. And there are lots of confusions. There are so much of, I will say, misunderstandings, lack of understanding. There is many things which we need to discuss. Lots of awareness we need to create among the patients, among the healthy individuals, and most important, among the medical fraternity, the doctors, PGs, interns, who are our strength of this platform. I request all of you to have some focus now on this particular domain. Although cannabis, bhang, vijaya is one of the oldest herb, our ancient herb mentioned in Ayurveda, still we all need to understand there are so many dimensions, so many permutation and combinations, and so many various aspects which, as a clinician, we need to learn, and then we can justify the practice of medical cannabis. I am one of the luckiest person, I will say, by some history of working a few organizations in Canada, US, and other part of the world from last around 5 6 years now, that I have been exposed to medical cannabis. And personally, I would request all of you to be focused on this particular domain, because today also I was having around 5 patients, and specifically those who are using, and daily we are getting 10 to 15 patients, and a couple of them suffering from cancer. And cancer is one of the disease which does not have that much of options, but still CBD oil and medical cannabis is helping them out. So on this introductory remarks and this particular aspect, I would like all of you to have some focus attention towards today's webinar. And we have a campaign now, we have decided, and please note that in your diaries, in your calendars. You can block your calendar or whatever you want to do. every Monday 8:30 p.m. we will have Boheco team, either any person from the Boheco, or they will also bring certain practitioners and certain other healthcare professionals or scientists, maybe somebody from the manufacturing or process department, or somebody from the raw material to give us more insight. So we will have weekly sessions now moving forward, in which we will try to discuss, we will try to bring more and more awareness, knowledge to all of you, and let's create and let's have this particular domain one of the most preferred. In fact, I have seen personally that generally patients and people are coming after exhausting all the other mode of options to CBD or to medical cannabis. But our aim is that there has to be one day in which people will choose this as first line of treatment, or their first choice in getting healed, rather than the last choice. So that will be more beneficial for all of us, because I have seen, if medical cannabis or CBD oils or related medicines being infused at the initial level of any disease or any particular health problem, the results are very good, and it also ensures the complete healing or cure. Cure is the word which is controversial, we generally avoid that. But yes, with medical cannabis and CBD oil, we have seen cure as well in many diseases. So the only thing is, as early as possible we can start that, right? So let's have this now, and I welcome again both of you, and let's have some introductory remark from each one of you about this session today, and then maybe we can proceed with the questions. We have our set of questions, and I request all the audience today to post their questions as well. Already we have started getting some questions right now. So I request all the audience who are listening to us, please post your questions, relevant questions to the Boheco team, to Jahan and Yash, and let's hear from them first their introductory remarks and introductory talk for this session. So maybe any one of you can start, right?
Sure. I happy to take this up, Yash, and I'll lead on into you. First of all, very good evening, and thank you very much, Dr. Piyush, for this platform and for the ability to come together between industry and the doctor community and the practitioner community to really drive, as you correctly mentioned, where today the medical use of cannabis is at best a last line of treatment for many practitioners. We've realized continuous education, awareness, and collaboration between doctors, between academics, between industry coming together to understand how medical cannabis in its relative form can actually be very efficacious, keeping in mind its analgesic, its anti-inflammatory, or its anxiolytic ability. And I think over the last few months that we have been in discussion, and we formed a very strong pathway to have this conversation. We're very glad and honored to have this platform, and eagerly looking forward to more positive discussions and using this as a jumping off point. So just want to thank you from on behalf of Bohico, and I'll hand over to Yash also in the due process.
All right. Thanks, Jahan. First up, very good evening to everyone that's listening in. Thank you once again, Dr. Piyush, for bridging the gap, and bridging the space of medical cannabis between the doctor community and organizations that are looking at commercializing this as a medicine. We often say this in a lot of our educational journeys, that when there's a topic about cannabis, or when you talk about hemp, bhang, vijaya, people's eyebrows just go up, and because and we often say this to a lot of people, that when it comes to cannabis, it's you don't have to learn about something new, you have to unlearn and you have to relearn, right? And this is, I think, a great platform where we can kind of break a lot of myths and understand the position that cannabis has to play in today's lifestyle. And we're quite eager to kind of share our experiences and also kind of help you break the ice with the cannabis industry in India. Looking forward to an insightful session, Dr. Piyush.
Right. Thank you so much, Jahan and Yash. And let's start this now. And the first question which I want to ask to both of you, we are aware about this, and we know about this industry. But my question to each one of you, and maybe we will have your personal opinion as well as some professional aspects also are related to that. Why you people have selected, or why you people have thought to start something related to medical cannabis? Why, basically, why medical cannabis? Why not anything else?
Sure, Yash, you want me to take that and I'll pass it on to you, Yash? Is that okay? Great. I think the first question when we started Bohico and just before Bohico wasn't only why medical cannabis. It was more why cannabis and hemp as an idea. You see, our journey with Bohico began 2 years before we even set up the company. It was in 2010-11 where all of us co-founders of Bohico were in college together, and we used to travel across rural India and do a lot of entrepreneurship projects, whether solar electrification, understanding how rural nutrition, understanding how rural agriculture works. But every city, every district we went to, we realized, in whatever state we went, regardless of custom, culture, everything being different, the one common thing in almost every district was cannabis. That is, the bhang ka podha, as is more commonly known in rural India, was just growing wildly. That led us to a thought that, okay, hold on, is this a resource that is just being wasted, growing in the wild, where it's either seized or burned down and then it grows again in 3 months anyway? Around the same time in college, I happened to make a trip to West Australia, and we were to meet with my extended family. And during my travels, we learned that very small pockets of rural West Australia have started building their local economies using the hemp or cannabis plant. But by that I mean they would use the fiber to make clothes. They would use the seed, or what you call Vijaya ka beej, to make different healthy food products. They'd use this oil from the seed to pour in the salads because of its health profile, amino acids, all the omegas. And they had begun using the flower of the cannabis plant for medicinal purposes. And that really was a unique moment and eureka moment in our heads, where soon as we saw this and understood that this prosperity to be gained for the country, for farmers, for patients, that there's success at the hands of doctors, we realized we had to go about a very long form journey by setting up Bohico as an organization. And the journey took us over the last 8 years across three major cruxes. One is policy and regulation, where over the last 8 years, we've been working with almost 8 state governments, as well as several union governments and ministries to help them understand how India's narcotics laws relate to cannabis, how the narcotics laws do not classify the fiber or the seed or the leaf as a narcotic item from the plant, and how that there are provisions in this law that allow state governments to give farmers and industry the licenses to grow it, cultivate it, and build an industry around it, whether you're using the fiber and seed for industrial purposes, or whether you're using the seed or the leaf or the flower for medicinal purposes. Along with policy, one of the key areas we understood, which is the biggest gap that we face, one of the biggest gaps, was the lack of cultivated cannabis in India, which is exactly the problem China, Canada, the United States, France, almost 45 different countries understood was the biggest issue standing and hurdle standing in their way in terms of setting up an industry, a legitimate medical and industrial industry around the cannabis plant. That's where we began working with CSIR institutes under DST to have research cultivation of different local cannabis varieties, with a goal to breed seeds that can eventually be grown by farmers at a scale, and be able to work with industry to provide the materials to be able to grow the larger pie of how its medical and therapeutic use works. But along the way during research, the third aspect of us as an organization came in, keeping in mind that, of course, we are a for-profit enterprise with a greater social vision. We began commercializing and exploring what are the new advents and industries we could explore. Where in the first phase of Bohico, the first 4 or 5 years, a lot of time was spent in understanding the proof of concept to explore emerging industry areas, for example, textiles for the fiber. But over the last 3 to 4 years, we understood with the change in regulation, number one. Number two, with the greater acceptance among the scientific and medical community that cannabis has a Ayurvedic and historical link to India, and that really needs to be understood and expressed much more often, whether through research, through formulations, or doctor engagement, and really building out the larger ecosystem. And that is where over the last few years we actually went ahead and launched some of the first licensed products that use the cannabis leaf, or what we call bhang, for a wide variety of wellness purposes in different proprietary formulations, Ayurvedic formulations, as well as the seed and the seed oil in different proprietary food items, where we also currently work with different ministries like the food safety standards to classify hemp seeds and seed oil, etc., into the food bracket and food ingredient bracket, understanding that there is ancient knowledge, but trying to mix it with the larger modern scientific landscape and being able to arrive at a common bridge. What I'll do is I'll pause here and I'll pass it on to Yash to help give a larger filler out about Bohiko and our health and sort of wellness horizon, and where we're aiming to take the focus and channelize the focus as well.
Right. Thanks, Jahan. Jahan's actually encapsulated our journey and our story really well. The when we started out, the idea was that, can we come up with a solution that can really truly have a positive impact on different frameworks, right? When we look at the entire value chain of what Bohiko is trying to unleash from the cannabis plant, right? Cannabis has the opportunity to impact many industries, be it keeping the social aspects in mind, the environment aspects in mind, the health aspects in mind, all of that, right? And cannabis is that solution. Now, going back to what Jahan was saying, when it comes to cannabis, right, we were looking at multiple policy based opportunities, which kind of opened up at the end of 2018, and in the start of 2019 we gave birth to our one of India's first health and wellness brand called Bohiko Life. Under Bohiko Life, under that umbrella, we launched a range of products using the hemp seeds in the domain of hemp nutrition, and we also launched a range of wealth and wellness and health products in November 2019. We saw a great response from the market. The idea was to, of course, start small and gauge whether what is India's perception of cannabis and what are the real challenges that can come our way that we need to that we need to solve for periodically. And owing to that, in 2019, sorry, just a minute. Right. So keeping that in mind, in 2019, when we launched our cannabis wellness-based products, we saw a great response. And from that, the Bohiko Life journey kicked off with a lot of patients really benefiting. We have a lot of doctors coming our way. We have a lot of B2B players coming our way. And right now, we're in the middle of creating, an entire roadmap for the entire medical cannabis fraternity. And we'll talk more about it in due course.
Right. I think we are very much I will say lucky today to understand that at least you people bothered about the local tradition and local aspects. And yes, you are absolutely right. There is a strong correlation in terms of uh, Indian system of medicine, that is Ayurveda. And I don't want to get into the reasons why it has not been evolved. And we all know, I think, it has been suppressed and diminished and sometimes negatively positioned. Let's leave that discussions. But yes, if we see on the positive note, and I request both of you now in the next phase, let's hear from both of you in terms of I know that both of you are not doctors and not the medical professionals, and we will be bringing some more medical professionals. I personally practicing, and I will definitely answer few questions we are getting right now in terms of the medical aspects. But still, as you people are the owners and founder of this organization, and you must be working closely with all the doctors and medical practitioners. So we would like to ask about your experiences and maybe your um, um, I will say exposures in terms of uh, several medical indications, and in general, maybe not in a specific way, what you feel and what you have think and seen as far as till now. Like I think there are now quite few years you people are into this business, and I think the medical products you have recently launched. Still, you have few cases. Like I remember a couple of cases, one from fibromyalgia, another from CA. They are taking Boheco CBD oil. They are my patients and doing very well. In fact, I can say on record, as far as fibromyalgia is concerned, it can be a drug of choice, and no other medicine or product in this world works like what a good CBD oil works. So we are getting lots of questions. We'll start taking some, but yes, let's first ask both of you about your journey in terms of the medical indications, in terms of the various health issues or maybe diseases you have seen that
Yes.
medical cannabis or CBD oils are working, and you are getting feedbacks. So maybe Jahan, you can start,
No,
and Yes, you can add.
sure. Thank you so much, Dr. Piyush. I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head. And I think it's important to understand and start the journey a little before that. For the discretion and for the assistance of everyone listening, I think it's important to break down why cannabis's medical and therapeutic effect has been so spoken about, so discussed, researched, explored, and even to the extent that there are ratified or validated FDA approved drugs like Epidiolex, which are used in specific cannabis based drugs in the US FDA that are used for pediatric epileptic conditions. The reason behind it is interesting to understand what the flower and leaf of cannabis is majorly comprised of. It are different medical different compounds called cannabinoids, similar how the opium plant has alkaloids, cannabis has cannabinoids. Along with this, we have different compounds called terpenes and flavonoids, which follow create a larger profile of therapeutic benefit. By this, what I mean is in each cannabinoid, and I will take the two most popular ones, one called THC, which is basically the component of cannabis that gets you high or gives you sort of the nasha that everyone is concerned about, but also equally has tremendous analgesic and pain alleviating properties, as you mentioned, in fibromyalgia patients, MS patients, advanced cancer based pain, and a wide variety of terminal illnesses where pain is a huge sort of mitigating factor. Equally, to balance THC as a cannabinoid, there is a non-psychoactive, non-narcotic cannabinoid very popularly spoken about today called CBD or cannabidiol. Now, cannabidiol has shown tremendous effects in terms of reducing the number of refractory epilepsy seizures. It's also shown tremendous effects as an anxiolytic in terms of as a new chemical entity. Some countries use it as a nutritional supplement. Some use it as a dietary supplement. There's a wide variety of versions in terms of its categorization, but it's shown tremendous potential in its anti-inflammatory and its anxiolytic benefits. And the curious part is when THC and CBD are combined, the best way to think of it is a yin and yang, where when they combine together is when the optimal effect of cannabis for medical purposes has been seen. And that is referred to as the entourage effect. You see, the reason why this happens, we have come to understand over the course of time, is majorly because our body is comprised of cannabinoid receptors, CB receptors, CB1, CB2, all across the body. Uniquely enough, these cannabinoids, THC and CBD, are only two out of almost 100 plus discovered so far. These are the two most popularly researched and explored ones for therapeutic efficacy. Um, these cannabinoids, along with THC and CBD, actually fit naturally within to these receptors and help control a wide variety of motor function, neuron control, and a wide spectrum of different functionality in a basic human biological intervention. The very interesting part, and what we came to know when we started this, is we realized that the analgesic and the anxiolytic potential of cannabis are the most studied and the most data validated globally data validated broad indication areas for us to explore in greater depth. In line with that, the way and structure we've kind of gone about it is we began with THC and CBD based leaf extract and as a topical oil with hemp seed oil as a carrier, particularly for arthritis pain, keeping in mind that it is an autoimmune disorder that curing it, as you correctly mentioned, curing is a very tough concept to get to, but being able to mitigate pain and mitigate secondary symptoms with a high RA factor is a huge bonus that needs to be sought and that THC and CBD have shown efficacy of. We launched the products back in about 12 months ago, and we're very fortunate and very pleased to see that a large swath of patient groups who have suffered from OA as well as RA along with other types of more terminal joint indication areas and muscle areas, had been using this topical oil. Some of which had even told us that they had moved away from their allopathic regime because they were more inclined to trust such topical application based products because of the lack of invasiveness and of course the risk of other side effects and symptoms. Now this built a lot of confidence, and that's where we actually listed our arthritis oil product for open label single arm studies at the National Institute of Ayurveda in Jaipur. I believe sometime this year is when the studies commenced. And it helped us build the confidence to understand how the next evolution to consuming cannabis, that is the extract, the leaf extract that contains CBD and THC and other cannabinoids, can be directed towards patient areas where it could make a significant difference. Around March, in fact, this week before lockdown, nation statewide lockdown happened in Maharashtra, we had launched one of India's first THC and CBD 1:1 ingestion-based sublingual products for chronic pain management, particularly focused around neuropathic pain as well as other cancer-based pains, whether phantom pains, whether sort of organ suppress, I would say organ pains, surgical pains, etc. But over the course of time, we understood that pain being a large construct and a very, very complex categorized system of, I would say, illness or indication. It wasn't just patients with cancer or terminal cancer or moderate cancer. It was, in fact, a wide variety of patients who were seeking therapeutic solutions to actually be able to provide them relief across a few dimensions. Number one is help pain. Number two is help them with their a corresponding mood, majorly because they realized that there was seemed to be a direct correlation to how their mood is affected by the severity and the quality of pain that they suffered over a course of time. Number three is understanding how appetite could be stimulated in terminal cases, where, of course, as I'm sure you've understood through your case experience, it's very difficult to onset or create the inkling of appetite within patients who may not have had it for a considerable amount of time. And of course, fourth, combining it with the ability of cannabis to induce sleep in a much more concentrated fashion because of its ability to sort of streamline REM activities and ensure dreamless sleep becomes a sort of a more positive biological state for the patients. This is a lot of the vast summary of our learnings. A lot of the learnings have in fact been basis our global review of scientific literature, through some of our global advisors based on therapeutic and medical use of cannabis, as well as a lot of our domestic researchers, as well as medical practitioners and doctors like yourself, Dr. Piyush, who've helped us build a quantitative understanding about where the true value lies about cannabis-based therapeutic application and how important minor factors like dose control and titration, how the relativity of performance of cannabis as a medication is highly relative as a concept depending upon different factors on patient group to patient group, and how most importantly this ties into the larger wellness concept of using cannabis that seems to be all the phenomenon today, where you have a wide spectrum of thousands of doctors in US or Canada prescribing to their patients from autism all the way up to HIV, all the way down to tuberculosis and a wide spectrum of disorders. I think from a wellness perspective, this is a lot of the objective gathering we received through a lot of the formulation launches, and in fact, almost every one of our formulations is already being lined up for open label single arm studies at either one or another top academic institute in India, whether consumption or whether topical based products. And what I'll do is I'll pause here and I'll just briefly hand it over to Yash to highlight how we've learned more about the health benefits of accompanying the wellness side of cannabis with the hemp food and the hemp health aspect of things as well.
Right. Right. So, Dr. Piyush, what we've done is that we've combined all the modern day knowledge that exists about cannabis and hemp, right? And we've combined it with the science of Ayurveda, right? The idea is to kind of bring the best of both the worlds. Both of them can coexist together. And that has been our attempt. With regards to our entire nutrition offering, there are three main products that we have, which are all three byproducts of the hemp seed. Right, there's the hemp seed oil, which is a multi-purpose oil used for application as well as consumption. It's typically used as a garnishing oil. You add it on the idea is to make any meal healthy. So from your khichdi to khawswe, you add it on top of it, and you can make the meal healthy. The hemp seed oil is a great source of omega-3 and 6, vitamin E, and its entire antioxidant profile. And one typically compares it to the modern day olive oil one knows of. The other product that we have is an extremely rich source of dietary fiber and antioxidants, which is the hemp seed oil. much more soluble by the human body. Now, the powder has close to 37% protein. So per serving of the powder, there is potentially more protein than even an egg. So from a fitness point of view, or just from a daily lifestyle point of view, hemp seed powder is a great addition. And there's the hemp hearts, which is like a most balanced product. It's literally the heart or the nut of the hemp seed, which is rich with magnesium, iron, calcium. It's a superfood, right? It's power packed with all of these elements. And people have been using this, since we launched the brand. People, be it restaurants that are adding it in their menus, be it, elderly people that are using it in their daily lifestyle, be it kids that are using it for brain health, the entire wide array of benefits. And so hemp seed has been actually, the hemp seed oil has been a great ingredient even in cosmetics, where we work with some of the largest cosmetic players in India, and we integrate hemp seed oil in their existing formulations because of its skin healing properties. So the science, actually, we were looking at the rest of the world to see how they were working with cannabis, but in our own backyard, there was so much knowledge available that we used that to kind of create some great products for the market.
Yeah, and Dr. Piyush, I think there's one element I thought I'll type back into this. A lot of the due credit for the history, and I would say creating the profile of cannabis and leading to modern day efficacy began and stemmed from ancient science of Ayurveda. Whether we're talking about actions like Dipana, Panchana, Shula, that Bhang has been commonly attributed to, whether we're referring to classical formulations like a Lakshmi Vilas Rasam or a Jayadi Vati or a Shuntyadi Churna, it has always spoken of efficacy for analgesic or pain management, or IBS or bowel movements, or ensuring sexual virility, or ensuring that there is a non-stress or anxiolytic effect. What we realized, it was important to give Ayurveda the due and be able to be there in the process to help this Ayurvedic knowledge in the ancient and historical form be translated into the modern context, where it becomes comfortable and accessible for the doctor and medical community, and allows for more informed, practical data, historical, as well as modern evidence-based decisions for the medical community at large as well.
Right, great. I think again a very insight and very detailed aspects you both have mentioned, and I am sure that many, predominantly the doctors and the non-medical community, are also learning today. And we started getting lots of questions. So what we'll do is we will just pause our set of questions for some time, and let's have some questions quickly from the our learned audience and doctors and the non-medical people as well, and accordingly we can take it forward. So I think there are some aspects in terms of the language. So some people are saying that maybe we can also have vernacular language as far as the webinar is concerned. So what we think is, let's have most preferred language, that is English, and accordingly we can maybe in coming weeks, what I will do is we will have one session. Maybe the concern is some regulators or some people maybe are not that much aware. So what we'll do is we will have a specific session for regulators, and what message we want to convey to them, we will have in that language as well. So now the next question is from Dr. Abhinay Dogra. I think if any one of you wants to answer, you can take this up. Otherwise, I will also add some aspect to from my experience. So the question is, I think you will be able to see on your screens also. And the question is, does CBD helpful in neurotransmission? Like, does it act like GABA or antagonics to it? So any study, please enlighten us.
There are actually several studies, whether RCTs or clinical studies, that have proven efficacy of enhancing the neurotransmission, particularly when CBD has been used in as an isolate. That is more of a pharmaceutical commodity without THC accompanying it. What they have also realized is, interestingly enough, that the use of, in fact, a lot of the early day studies that was actually understanding its neuroefficacy and its the neurotransmission capabilities of cannabinoids was directed around THC, specifically around nabilone, which was almost 100% pure THC sort of synthetic commodity. They realized that there's limited efficacy, but some of the markers, keeping in mind serious adverse events and adverse events using THC at the start, essentially created a little conservatism in research. But over the last 3 to 5 years, there has been significant global literature. Of course, it'll be tough for us to be precise on this conversation, maybe in follow-up conversations, but there has been significant literature pointing the preliminary effects in terms of its neurotransmitter capability in terms of using CBD as well. And of course, Dr. Piyush, I'm sure you'd be in a much more enlightened, experienced position to provide some insight on this as well.
Yes, as far as the research studies are concerned, definitely. The first of all, the answer is yes. It is helpful as far as neurotransmission is concerned. And what we will do is we will have a specific session in forthcoming series. We will have a specific session in which we will talk more in detail. But yes, the answer is yes, and definitely it helps. So, Dr. Anand Prakash, you have a patient, so you can definitely connect, and we can let it, and we can connect you for the product availability. Another question from Dr. Viveka is, what are the indications to use it? How long we can use cannabis? Can it be used in gynae patients? So yes, we can use in gynae patient. The only thing, as far as the pregnancy is concerned, we generally avoid any medication, including CBD oil. So that is one aspect you need to keep in mind. But yes, for other gynae cases, you can very well use. In fact, by the way, the local application is very effective in menstrual cramps and pain management. I have seen personally in my clinical experience, and maybe Yash and Jahan can add on this. And also the internal administration also is very helpful in terms of regulating the menstrual cycles, the pain specifically. That is, we know that dysmenorrhea is there, and any other aspects also. It is very much useful. And any specific experience or feedback any one of you have related to gynae patients, so maybe you can right now let us know.
Sure. So I think you've hit the nail on the head, Dr. Piyush. Dysmenorrhea or menstrual pain is precisely one of the exact type of indication areas where cannabis is and entourage effect of THC and CBD in consuming this extract, whether in a sublingual form or whether the localized topical form, has shown tremendous efficacy. In fact, there is a very famous celebrity called Whoopi Goldberg in Hollywood. She came out with a company that was using suppositories, cannabis CBD based suppositories, where CBD was enhanced on the suppository and it was inserted within the vagina, within the vaginal cavity, and showed tremendous efficacy in terms of reducing pain, reducing sort of inflammation around sort of the vaginal cavity. But keeping in mind that because we're talking, it's important to begin the journey with local and topical use, then move to consumption use, and then move to more sophisticated forms like how in the US. We've seen at first sight that local topical use, there has been tremendous benefit and improvement, keeping in mind the importance of Nadi Pariksha, as well as the importance of, I would say, the importance of understanding how the pain would measure on the lower back as well as the abdomen. In fact, understanding its efficacy of the pain management product from some patients who had used it for dysmenorrhea, we actually took a concerted effort, and we're planning a launch in sometime in the next 60 to 75 days of one of products within these domains that actually focus around managing different types of analgesic and sort of pain management symptoms associated with menstrual pain. And over the course of time, we're seeing that a lot of the younger women community are showing a greater familiarity and a much more comfort in understanding around this. And I'm sure even Yash can highlight this from being a front point interface as well.
Right. No, this is certainly an area that a lot of people have asked us about and have also used. In fact, we don't have a product specifically for menstrual pain, but one of our other products called arthritis pain, which is typically for healthy joints. We know of some customers who actually taken that product and applied it when they were getting the cramps on the lower back area, and they surprisingly saw some great results. And that has also prompted us to thinking that what are some of the gaps and needs that we can even fill using cannabis as the solution. Fundamentally, how cannabis or medical cannabis works on the human body is that every or every mammal actually has this system in their body called the endocannabinoid system, right? When the cannabinoids from the cannabis plant, which includes THC and CBD, but not limited to it, there are over 113 CBG, CBN, THCV, etc. When these cannabinoids combine with the CB1 and CB2 receptors in every mammal, it kind of takes care of the problem at the root level, right? And especially the kind of indication that Jahan mentioned, like pain, hunger, sleep stimulant, etc. These are the areas that it really targets, and thereby making it a great symptomatic relief for a lot of indications such as dysmenorrhea or menstrual pain or any other form of chronic or neuropathic pain.
Right. Thank you so much for this. I think, Yash, we have several queries, as you can see on the screen, that how to get it, it is like naturally or some patent product is concerned. Then another doctor, Dr. Manju Bhatia, she is saying that how it is available in the market around Delhi. And I have so many other doctors who are asking this. So, as far as dose is concerned, I will just take this. Just give me some time. But meanwhile, I want you, and maybe when Jahan will be, I think, resume, both of you can just announce or let us all of know about your model of associating with doctors who need these products for their practice, for their clinics, for maybe to give to their patients. So how they can get connected to you, or is what are the various options in which they can procure and take it forward, as far as, because while we are talking about medical cannabis, while we are talking about CBD oil, we still see that it is either not readily available at each and every chemist shops. There are certain issues in terms of procuring and prescribing. Yes, it's a prescription, it has to be a prescription product. In terms of the medical products are concerned, the food products definitely are OTC and can be ordered and taken online and from any store also. But yes, for the medical products there has to be a prescription. So now both of you please announce or maybe inform all of us how all the doctors can get associated with you, how they can get connected with you and procure the products. What are the online and offline models you people have? Many doctors may be interested in offline
Right.
procuring products from you, and many doctors will be interested in the online model. So you please, both of you, elaborate one by one.
Sure. So, in order to get your hands on, Bohiko's product, there are two approaches. Like from a consumer's point of view, at present, Bohiko products are available on our own e-commerce website called www.bohicolife.com. You can go. Our entire range is available. The RX products, which is the prescription-based products, as well as the OTC products, are available for online purchase. Besides that, we have partnered with over 100 stores across Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, and Goa, where you will find our products in a lot of boutique stores. You will find it. Besides that, we're available on third-party e-commerce websites such as Amazon, 1mg, PharmEasy, all of the reputed new age websites that are there. We are available on all of those. That is from a consumer's point of view. Now, from a doctor's point of view, there are two approaches. Either the doctor is only issuing prescriptions, or the doctor is interested in stocking as well, dispensing as well as prescribing the product. In case the doctor is looking at prescribing the product or looking at dispensing, you can get in touch with us. We will drop our contact details either via Indian Vaidyas or directly. We'd be very happy to share across our model. We have in fact started off a very interesting program at Bohiko, which is called the Bohiko Life Doctor Ambassador Program, where we are looking at tying up with a lot of doctors, clinics, hospitals, and not just kind of providing the product, but really providing the intelligence, the knowledge, and in order to kind of dispense the product, because we do understand that medical cannabis is a very new industry and there are a lot of questions that people have. There are a lot of known as well as unknowns about the crop, and we are starting this education led doctor program where we will be supporting and supplementing you all with education material, and of course the product with a certain commercial model. So this is it. You can get in touch with us either directly or via indianvaidyas.com. We'd be happy to share like a detailed structure of how we can work together.
Right, and I want to request all of you, any one of you wants to get connected with Boheco team, do let us know. You can just post your name, number, email ID, and city in the comment box. We are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and on our website also. On our website, you can just see at the bottom there are two chat bots. One is for the WhatsApp and another is for the Facebook Messenger. So wherever you are comfortable, just drop us your details, and our team will connect you to the Boheco team, and accordingly you can take it forward. And on the record, I want to clarify that Indian Vadyas do not charge any commission or anything. We don't have that model. So all of you can directly deal and do business with Boheco in terms of procuring and taking the CBD oils and related CBD products from the company. Now, as far as the dose is concerned, there are so many doctors asking for that. See, dose is a very dynamic aspect. It's not very simple that okay, just few drops or just few tablets we can give it to any patient. And on the same note, I want to take this question as well, that how would one can become a medical cannabis doctor then, and another from Kevin, that we would need specialist medical cannabis doctors if medical cannabis to be legal. So these aspects are there. And one more is, please share data of cannabis, Ayurveda, history, Vedas. So on these questions, I personally want to take these questions that I want to clarify. See, first of all, dose that is very dynamic in terms of age, body weight, what are the indications, why we are giving them. So there are so many reasons in which we need to decide. So today we will not be taking that. We will having a separate session, in fact, specifically and dedicated related to the dose aspects only, because apart from these factors, now what kind of product we are using, is it a full spectrum CBD oil, is it a broad spectrum CBD oil, what are the various ratios in that. By the way, in India not that much prevalent, but yes, few companies and maybe Boheco also will have this in future, and they will let us know in terms of species also, like if it is from sativa, indica, or whatever the species are there. So you're not supposed to like, for example, one aspect which we need to like understand, that you're not supposed to give indica in morning, and sativa like will not have that much of effect in the evening or night. So in that way you need to take it forward, and there are so many permutation and combinations. So dose is not that much easy. It's a complete science, and first you need to get involved. You need to infuse yourself as a practitioner into the practice of medical cannabis, and then you will be understand. And the common mistake which I have seen many practitioners right now is doing, that they are just prescribing randomly certain drops or certain ml, which is not accurate. Second is the dosage form, in terms of the sublingual absorption is one of the best form which we have seen in the research studies. There can be tablets and other forms are available, which is fine, but still the sublingual absorption of the oil or tincture is one of the best mode which we need to understand. So we will be coming up with detailed sessions in terms of dose is concerned. And now there are some more questions for Boheco. So one is regarding the COA. Mr. Vignesh Raja is saying. So I think you people must be having that. So any one of you can just comment on this. That as far as the COA of your products are concerned, so is it available on website or is it available for doctors or what?
Right. So, whatever information that one sees on either the packaging or the website is in line with the rules and regulations that we need to follow. With regards to documents such as the certificate of analysis, we are very happy to share it with doctors upon request. One thing is important to understand, that when we are working with medical cannabis in India, the cannabis plant that we work with is not cultivated right now. it is collected. There are official government centers that look after, that have the different collection centers across different parts of India, where cannabis plant from across India is collected there, and then it is brought to a central area through which there's a quota system that one can apply for through a licensing regime and acquire these plants. So what happens is that, and also the fundamental philosophy or the fundamental rule behind Ayurveda is that plant material needs to be used in its true and natural form. You cannot isolate CBD, you cannot isolate THC. You need to use the full spectrum as raw as possible straight from the plant. Now, keeping this in mind, the biggest challenge here is standardization, because the plant from a cultivation point of view is not standard. Like, it cannot give you, like, if this batch has 10% THC, it's not necessary that the next batch will have that much THC. And that is where understanding at a chemistry level comes into play. So keeping all of this in mind, a COA typically depends and changes from batch to batch, and thereby it's not on the website, because then it's incorrect representation of what's really in the product. But apart from that, for every batch, we do provide our doctors with a batch by batch certificate of analysis, so they know how much to give. For example, if our product has a 10% concentration of the extract, right, depending on the dosage for the previous bottle, for example, say was 10 drops, it does not necessarily mean that for the next bottle the dosage would be the same. The doctor needs to know the concentration of the actives, which is THC and CBD, in the product itself, and basis that recommend, for which in fact we are also developing one of its kind dosage study, which actually Jahan can throw some more light on, where each and every indication we have mapped out what is the amount of THC and CBD that's needed to take care of it. So the certificate of analysis can be provided upon request. Yes, for sure.
So another question, Jahan, maybe you can take up this. What kind of extraction or processing your products are having? Is it ethanolic, or is it any other, like?
Yes, currently it is an ethanol-based extraction method. What we do is we tend to follow GMP standards, keeping in mind ethanol extraction is the first one or two generations of extraction and processing for medicinal plants like cannabis we're looking at. And of course, as we grow over the course of time, we'll be looking to integrate even more sophisticated technologies to improve the method, improve concentration, and of course, improve the mg dosage of cannabinoids as well.
The next question, Nupur, I think already it is legal as far as the Ayurvedic perspective is concerned. The products, the medical cannabis products right now being licensed and being marketed under the license of Ayush proprietary medicine, and there are some classical products as well. But yes, as far as the allopathic or the Drug Control General of India is concerned, there is under process, the work is under process. But yes, if you talk about Ayurveda aspect, it is quite legal, and I think if any further guidance you need, you can let us know, and we will help you in that. uh, Next question is how you treat palpitations caused due to cannabis. I think there are some aspects, and we again, Dr. Manju, we need to understand the case. Many times I have seen palpitations are not due to cannabis. It is the psychological effect that they are taking cannabis. That is point number one. Second is, yes, it can be. So we need to understand what kind of CBD oil and we are using. What is the mode, what is the mode, yes, and then the ratio as far as the THC is concerned, because that is the main factor. And also we need to understand, that's why I said dose is very very important. We need to understand the case, and there are certain contraindications also, by the way. It's not, although it's a herb, it is pretty safe, but still there are certain contraindications which we need to understand. So as I said, we will have a detailed session in terms of the dosage, in terms of the usage, and do join us on weekly basis. You will definitely get more and more detailed aspects and detailed answers for that. And Dr. Abhinay, yes, we will definitely bring certain other doctors, and I will also personally want to discuss my case studies and experiences, and we will be taking this up with collaboration from Boheco and support we have from Boheco. Definitely we will be taking up. So Jahan, we were discussing, like Yash was explaining the model, and there are certain aspects in which doctors can collaborate and do. So maybe your inputs and your thoughts and your vision for
Sure.
this particular model, that how doctor can get a
Absolutely.
echo.
No, thank you, Dr. Piyush. I think Yash has done a tremendous job in laying out how the commercial side of our and business side of a collaboration is looking to build. I think the other element of it is being able to build credibility of cannabis as a therapeutic, number one, in the mind of a medical practitioner, keeping in mind that even till today, even though cannabis is so popularly spoken about globally, even in India, locally among domestic media, the awareness is only beginning to build now amongst the larger Ayurvedic practitioner community. That's why we felt it was a responsible step for us to take, wherein which for us as a company, it isn't only about manufacturing a good quality product or formulation and providing it to a doctor. It's also being with the doctor on the journey when they start from square one to understanding more along their observational experiences as well as through evidence-based scientific literature. And that's where, as Yash highlighted, we have a Bohiko Life Doctor Ambassador program, where our goal is through partnerships with Indian Vedyas and the accompanying doctors, and of course, our partnerships with doctors who proactively come through other networks as well. Our goal is to collect and collate all verifiable data and resources about cannabis from global as well as domestic resources, be able to create assets, for example, helping with dosing or titration, for example, creating the right CMEs or the right learning modules and learning series to step up towards knowledge and education in partnership with platforms like Indian Vedyas, having global partners on board and other academic institutes of excellence domestically as sort of a collective, being able to bring multi-month modules of learning and understanding and awareness towards Ayurvedic practitioners. And I guess most importantly, being able to supplement it with the baseline knowledge of where cannabis stands in Ayurveda. Because even today, unfortunately, because of the lack of ability of bhang to even get in classical formulations, the amount of vatis and churnas and golikas that have had bhang has been steadily declining in terms of prescriptions over the last few decades as well. So to be able to bring that knowledge up to speed, understand where the world stands, and understand from a doctor where the questions lie, where the apprehensions lie, and help support them, handhold them through the process in terms of being able to allow them the credibility to be able to label themselves the master in the future of prescribing cannabis based therapeutics. And most importantly, because our goal at the end of the day is not just to provide a product, is to help people. It's to help patients who may not have had a solution, who may not have had an opportunity, who in a country where healthcare is gradually rising, plant-based solutions have always unfortunately stagnated. And being able to empower the doctor, not just with material, but with knowledge, with perspective, with context, with data of collected from our studies that are coming, as well as global studies that have happened, and aligning into resources that make a doctor's job of learning not just a 5-year process, but a 6-month process, 12-month process to step up and build maturity, comfort, and a lot of credibility behind whether we are using bhang, that's the Vijaya leaf for formulations, or whether we're using Vijaya seed to make foods and chutneys, to be able to create that level of comfort that translates and trickles down, starts in cities like Mumbai and Delhi and Gurgaon, and eventually is in the tier 3 and the tier 4 cities and towns in the coming few years. So that is the larger vision we have. Our goal is to have a long partnership and relationship with Ayurvedic doctors and practitioners, and gradually open the doors to allopathic practitioners and wide variety of global global doctors from different spectrums of therapeutics, and be able to create a collective platform. Because we realized if medical cannabis has to succeed in India, it is the doctor's voice that will matter the most. But if the doctor requires support, resources, assets, materials, understanding and confidence that they are headed on the right track, that is where we come in as Bohiko, and that's where we envision playing a much stronger, closer role, working with the practitioner communities through our doctor ambassador programs and through partnerships with Indian Vedyas as well.
Right, I think absolutely I agree with you and your vision, and we respect that, Jahan. And thank you so much for having this mindset and this vision, which is very much required in upbringing this entire domain as far as our country is concerned. The requests are pouring in. We have lots of doctors, they have shared their contacts. And I want to thank all the doctors, by the way, And yes, Dr. Shubham, this will be saved as live. You can watch us on our YouTube channel and our Facebook profile also after this session will be over. So it will be there. And we also need to understand, on one side, as you correctly mentioned, the decrease in terms of several classical indications having bhang or cannabis. I think we, all the doctors, also need to understand that we should reflect and have confidence in our heritage. If on one side we have these opioid analgesics very well used in allopathic system of medicine, and we have seen tremendous results in terms of pain management is concerned. So on the same side, we can have this CBD oil and related cannabis products, which are also equivalent, effective, and definitely in pain management. I have seen so many, personally, I have seen in so many patients. There is no other option or no other like medicine or product they will be using once they will start using CBD oil and related products as far as cannabis is concerned. So we need to reflect that confidence, and we need to pass on that confidence to the patients. See, patients always, you correctly mentioned, Jahan, that doctors are one of the key factor, and still in India, patients always listen, and patient always see to the doctors. And yes, if you have a good ethical practice, they tend to follow you, and they tend to respect your decision and respect your prescription. And once I want to say this on record today, that once you are confident and you start practicing exhaustively as far as the medical cannabis is concerned, the only thing is you have to just prescribe. Once your patient will start using this, and if you have good quality products and good quality CBD medical cannabis medicines, like companies like Boheco. So if you have that, trust me, once they will start using that, they will thank you, they will appreciate you, and they will definitely keep you referring to all. I keep on getting referrals, and I keep on getting daily. I will keep on getting referrals from my existing patients, that somebody has referred me to some other patient, they have started using CBD oil. And now, so word to mouth is very, very important, and you will see that it will tremendously increase your popularity in terms of the clinician, in terms of the physicians. And one more aspect which mostly people think in Ayurveda, in herbs, in these kind of medicines, that it is very slow, it will take time, it will take days or weeks or months to give the effect. That is again contraindicatory in terms of medical cannabis and CBD oil practice. Within few minutes to few hours, the results are there, and people are like getting relieved. And ultimately, end of the day, I want to say that being a doctor, if I am able to heal someone's pain, that is the first and foremost responsibility we have. And with the help of CBD oil and medical cannabis products, the pain healing is excellent and without any side effect. If we compare to other pain management options we have, it is having minimal side effects. So I request all of you to maybe you can just share your details, and we will definitely ask the team from Boheco to connect with you. And Yash, I think there is some cultivator from Uttarakhand, and maybe we will connect you to him. And if you want, you can maybe continue the communication with him. He wants to get connected with you in terms of maybe certain other aspects. So he has mentioned that he's a cultivator, and accordingly you can take it forward. So the last question of the day, I think we are on time also as far as our webinar is concerned. And I still have some questions which I am right now skipping, because these are related to the diseases, to the dosage, to the indications, which we will definitely have. We will save all your questions. I request all of you to join on regular basis. Today we just thought to have an introductory session. We will have a detailed session of dosage, therapeutic indications, and other various aspects in the upcoming weeks. So we will let you know well prior, and accordingly you people can join. So the last aspect, as far as this particular industry is concerned, and quickly I want to ask Jahan and Yash. So, what are the various challenges we have just discussed about all the positivity, and we want to keep positive ourselves and our audience, but still, I will want to hear from both of you. What are the various challenges you think, or maybe you have faced, or right now also you feel are there in terms of this particular industry is concerned? And what are your tips or maybe learnings, I will say? So one side, some challenges you feel still existing, and other are some tips or some learnings you people have from these so many years, so that you can pass on to the fellow maybe industry people who are listening to you, or maybe the medical fraternity, or to the common person as well. So quickly both of you can have your inputs on that.
Sure. So, in my opinion, there are the two biggest challenges or obstacles that that exist that we're also trying to kind of take head on. The number one is lack of awareness, right? And when I say lack of awareness, there are a lot of different people from across the stakeholders, be it at the government level, be it at the doctor level, at the patient level, across the entire spectrum. There is a dearth of information where people don't know what is legal, what's not, what is CBD oil, what is the difference between hemp seed oil and cannabis leaf oil. There are so many nuances and smaller aspects that people need to seek clarity on and look at the bigger picture, right? When we often say this to people, that people have been perceiving cannabis and hemp as dope all these years, right? And our attempt here now is that people look at it as hope, right? Where they look at the different medical aspects, they look at the social environment, all of these multiple aspects that exist about the plant. People need to know about them. So definitely lack of awareness, and the other is lack of research, right? Though the hemp or cannabis recognition, in fact it was the one of the five sacred plants as per Atharva Veda, right? So the knowledge and the usage of this plant has been there since times immemorial. But the modern day knowledge or the modern day science, there has been serious, I mean, there has been a lack of research in that case, right? Where whether it's with regards to product innovation or whether it's to do with plant cultivation. And that is, where the mission of Bombay Hemp Company comes, where we identified these as the real main issues, which is science and education, and we try to take it head on. And thereby the mission came about, which is educate, cultivate, elevate. Educate the right kind of people about the right information, cultivate good quality cannabis products and cannabis, and make great quality products from it, and elevate the standards of living of everyone associated with the crop, essentially.
Absolutely. Just to quickly add on, I think Yash has summarized it perfectly from our side. To be very frank, the first, we're almost 8 years old as an organization. We began as the first in the country. The first 4 to 6 years were a whole different beast in terms of challenge, where it was about awareness and awareness with regulators, policymakers, bureaucrats, helping them understand how laws and rules can be created, and helping that help that translate towards more field science, fundamental science related to plant, the actual plant science behind cannabis. But what we've learned, as I think Yash perfectly summarized over the last 2 3 years, is that in the field of health and wellness, it's about building education, building comfort through education, and maturity of decision making through it, and most importantly, being able to reconcile this with the right kind of research, whether it's fundamental, whether it's application based research, but always using data, information, and science, whether ancient combined with modern day science, to be able to get a point across more unequivocally. One of the biggest areas we saw that has actually pegged down the growth of cannabis for the longest time for medical industrial purposes is the unfortunate categorization of it as an emotional issue. But detaching from the emotional segment and focusing objectively on how it helps, who it could help, who could be the person to empower the person to be helped, and how can this be done legally through the right license and work with the right partners, whether you're talking a policymaker who gives you the license to do it, a doctor who is the one who will be eventually prescribing it, or a patient who will be eventually using it and knows their body the best. So I think Yash has done a perfect job on wrapping sort of the ribbon or the bow around it. But that's where we realize that there are different phases of challenges, and at least the challenge we're focused on now and for the foreseeable future is education awareness across the stakeholder spectrum, right from government through doctors to academics up to patient groups and back into the end farming groups as well.
Right. I think excellent aspects which you have mentioned, and we all should understand this. And yes, absolutely, I completely agree with you. Being on the other side of this particular aspect, and as a physician, I also keep on getting these queries. And you absolutely correctly mentioned Yash and Jahan also. So we need to educate, we need to inform, we need to. I say communicate in a way in which it's a pure science. First of all, it's nothing hanky panky is going on as far as this particular aspect is concerned. In fact, the entire world has done tremendous research, and there are so many studies and so many research are available. And I will say, with respect to all the fraternities, as far as the medical cannabis or the CBD or the cannabis as a herb is concerned, it is one of the most researched herb by the allopathic fraternity and by the scientific fraternity. If you compare other herbs as well. So yes, it is, and it is by the way very much legal in many countries. If you talk about Canada, if you talk about other countries as well. So that is one point. Second, in India also now it is growing, and it will be growing, and many initiatives are there. But yes, there has to be a bit more, which we will be definitely communicating soon. We will be doing one session specifically, and we'll try to get some regulators on board and some people from those areas. We have some people as our advisor and pattern, so we'll request them to be on board, and maybe you people can have a dialogue with them, and let's see how it will go. So the point is, the core idea of this entire initiative and this entire association of Indian Vaidyas and Boheco is to create the awareness, to create a positive aspects, to discuss the positive aspects of the entire thing. We are dealing with healthcare, we are dealing with technically medicines. So there always be some negative aspects. Any medicine in this world, any healthcare in this world will have challenges. I will not say negative aspect, but yes, challenges are always there, and negativity will always come when you are dealing with the human life, when you are dealing with the health issues, diseases. But there has to be a logic, there has to be a science, there has to be a valid reason. If something is going wrong, we have the reason, we have the science, we have the logic to back it. And that's how it goes in any medical science, and same applicable for medical cannabis as well, right?
Definitely. So, Dr. Piyush, I think I have just two things that came to my mind when you were speaking that really struck me. I was reading two articles, very poles apart. One of the articles is speaking about how the post-COVID storm we have not factored in. The storm being around lung fibrosis or lung inflammation, which is already creating debilitation amongst a huge swath of COVID patients that we don't know enough as humanity yet. And at the same time, on the same day, half an hour later, I happened to read an article, and I'm sure you might have read this, about how 3D models were used in Canadian universities. And in fact, they've already begun animal models and they're stepping up to human trials to understand if cannabis is consumption, that CBD dominant cannabis, its consumption can actually promote the cytokine storm to reduce lung inflammation post COVID. So the way we see it is, you correctly mentioned the paradox behind cannabis is that it's an immediate gratifying therapeutic. It provides you an onset of time of 30 to 90 minutes. The beauty is this has laid in the coterie of Ayurveda and ancient medicine for so long, and we feel it's important that the next generation of thought leaders of cannabis and medicine need to be the empowered historical practitioners and thought leaders of Ayurveda who need to be the voice standing up and exploring these solutions and being the confident voice saying it works for these patient groups and really helping patient and healthcare groups going forward as well.
Right, absolutely. And Yash, maybe we can have some concluding remarks from you as well. And Jahan, if you want to add on something, and accordingly we can conclude this session. This was a wonderful session. I just realized we have from last 1 hour, more than 1 hour now, and we have so many doctors who are right now are with us. So thank you so much again, all of you, and thank you Yash and Jahan for this. And definitely we will be coming up with much more exciting sessions in future, and we will love to hear from our audience any suggestions, any topics, any particular aspect you want to listen and you want to take up as a session. Do let us know. we will discuss internally, and if that will be like appropriate, we will definitely take your suggestion, and we will have a webinar on that topic as well. So please post us about your suggestions. And finally, quickly, I would like to have a final concluding remark from both of you, and we can conclude the session for the day.
Right. So firstly, thank you, Dr. Piyush Juneja, once again for this wonderful platform to have such a positive dialogue around cannabis. I mean, we've covered a lot of ground, but we will continue to have these, enriching sessions every Monday with the Indian Vaidyas community, and we look forward to having everyone there. I just want to say that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. This was that probably the first step towards the recognition of medical cannabis in the entire doctor community. A lot of patients, and we were firm believers of it. This plant can add tremendous value to a user's life, and it's just with time, with modern science applied to the traditional knowledge, the kind of the future, it goes beyond leaps and bounds, right? So we are always going to be committed to be inspired by nature and empowered by Ayurveda. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Piyush. It's been a great pleasure, and I think we're all equally excited for Indian Vaidyas and Bohiko to work together to grow cannabis's education, the community, and build the larger doctor force that will define cannabis and healthcare for India in the future. And thank you so much once again for making this happen.
Absolutely. Thank you all, and have a nice, great week ahead. And definitely, we'll be coming up with the next session on next Monday, same time, 8:30 p.m. Do let us know about your suggestions. And whosoever has joined late, I want to announce that Boeco has announced a model in which they are looking forward to get associated with all the doctors. So just drop your email ID, mobile number, name, city, whatever you want to drop, and yes, Dr. Anand, if you need medicine, you have posted your number. We will connect you to the company, and you will get the call, and accordingly you can take it forward. So thank you so much, all of you, and have a great week ahead. And we will be definitely coming up with the next session next Monday, 8:30 p.m. Thanks.